Hey y'all. How's everybody doing today? Bufo, you were the first one in the chat today. So I don't know. I feel like I need to get like a little award like badge or something for y'all when you're the first ones here. Hi Bufo. Long time no see. Hi Unjibs. Almighty got that fire. Tiger Backwoods. Did you change your username? I feel like it was something else before. Home Base Productions, Danny B Music, Coney Ala Productions. I don't know. Grantastic Beats, Konyala Prod. Hi, sorry if I'm saying your names wrong, guys. I just want to address you and say hello. Gretel, Everyday Beats, Liz. Hey, girl. El Marquis, The Wanderer Beats, Eighth Life. What's up, everybody? Coney Yala Production. There we go. All right. Yeah. Damn Ace. Hey, guys. Welcome back to the listening room. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Tia. I'm the Music Opportunities Manager here at BeatStars. Welcome. This show was created to highlight the artists that we partner with on opportunities for our BeatStars community. So if you're unaware of what kind of opportunities we run alongside other contests on the platform, we also offer opportunities for you to submit beats to artists, remix their songs, and more. So if you haven't had the chance to check any of those out, you can head over to www.beatstars.world, hover over the opportunities tab, and explore, because you never know what you might be missing. Right now, you've got about 5 days left to submit to that SSG Kobe opportunity, which will win you not only a song with him, but a feature in Pigeons and Planes. So if you haven't already done that, I don't know why you're sleeping, but you really should go submit. Today, we are hanging out with rapper, singer, songwriter, producer, Polaris Prize winner, Juno-nominated Haviah Mighty. We ran a beat submission with her a couple months back, and I'm really excited for you guys to get to see her face-to-face, learn a little bit about her, and even hear some of the beats that she got to listen to and selected as some of her faves. So without further ado, I would love to bring her in. Haviah, you ready? All right, everybody. Warm round of applause in the chat. Bam. Hello.
How you doing?
How you doing? I'm good.
I'm very good as well. I'm excited to be here. Hey, everybody in the chat. I can't type in the chat, but what's going on, y'all?
That's so weird. All right, well, it's okay. We can talk. We can respond verbally to any and all comments made.
Absolutely.
Welcome to the show. Thank you for working with us on this. Really want to get into everything. You are having one hell of a year, girl, for real. And I can't wait to get into that. But if we can, let's take it back a bit. Just based, the beat submission we set up for you a few months ago. I know some people just read the description, submit a beat, and keep it pushing, but I want them to know you first a little bit. So I want to start way back. You come from a musical family. They've supported all of your musical endeavors and encouraged you. And I know some of y'all in the chat are probably tired of me asking this, but I'm going to ask you, what is your earliest memory of music?
Me or the chat?
You.
Me. What is my?
I ask everybody, but I know some people are probably tired of me asking that.
That's a valid question, of course, especially at the beginning of a convo like this. My earliest memory of music, honestly, I was in music lessons, in singing lessons at the age of 4. So I'd say my earliest exposures were like preparing to perform in front of people and like an auditorium. So I was performing really, really young, and so were my sisters. Before I was performing, I knew that they were doing it, so I always had them to look up to. So that's kind of like my earliest exposure was my sisters like performing in music lessons.
Do you remember what one of your first favorite songs might have been as well?
I mean, when I was really young, like it was probably like honestly like Disney stuff at the time, like whatever whatever I was exposed to, or like I used to do a lot of musicals, so like The Lion King, Annie. A lot of my early exposure was really theatrical and like performance based, because I was like a theater kid, I guess you could say, without actually doing it on a professional level. So yeah.
Fair enough. You are someone who toys with a lot of components of your art, whether it be, styles and genres, your fashion, your makeup, what have you. And you also jump between, life experiences and then experiences that are more widely felt, especially politically. So just in that, there's a lot of versatility to you. And I'm just wondering what kind of advantage this gives you while you're creating, or if you've had any trouble sinking into that versatility through your processes.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that sort of like those topics are been a blessing for me, but also a curse for me for a long time. I think it was the part of the preventative measure of like me making sense to listeners. A lot of times people want to just listen to enjoyable music. They don't want to be challenged by the music that they listen to necessarily. And sometimes like the themes that I talk about they're challenging and they're thought evoking. But I think times are definitely changing. And so in a time where that's a little bit more welcome, and I think we kind of are having more difficult conversations, a little bit more mainstream now, the things that I've always done, it seems there's a little bit more of a place for it. Maybe it's just the time for, this to take the stage. But yeah, I'd say that the biggest thing is like it sets me apart because a lot of people aren't going to rap about white supremacy or, racial inequalities, especially in the ways that I do, where it's fused into like music that you could bump in the club, but like if you really listen to the bars, you're still really getting this impact. A lot of people just aren't really going to touch it because a lot of labels aren't going to touch it. A lot of producers are just not. That's not where the clout is. That's not where the sauce is necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
So that I would say could be the con. You have to work harder to get to the ears, get to the people, and let them hear you. But the pro is that I'm doing something that not everybody else is trying to do, and I think that creates a lane for me that nobody else is really in.
Yeah, it's a little odd to say that, given the climate of some of the topics, it's a little odd to say that it's refreshing, but it almost kind of is, in a way. So, there's always going to be room for you in that, especially when everyone is just, talking about shaking ass in the club, which, I love.
It's dope. And there's like we just need to make space for everything. Like there's just an influx of like fun, like maybe like not focused on impact music, which is dope. We do need that too. You can't be, talking about like disheartening stuff every day. That's, we have to celebrate and just enjoy ourselves. But we need kind of all of it. Like it's like in fashion, we want all styles, all body types. It should be the same in music. So I just think I'm trying to occupy space that I think isn't really occupied that much, but like I think people want it. I think they just don't know that they want it yet.
Exactly. And point blank, you just have the range for it. So keep it simple.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll get into some of the beats that you selected later in the show, but just in the vein of selections, what are you generally looking for in a beat, and how do you know it's the one? I asked this very lightly because I know that could probably change day to day, but
yeah, I definitely does change day to day, but I do think that I resonate with some of the same things, and I think that knowing what you like is a part of how you can help develop your sound as an artist, which I think I'm still trying to do. I think I know like elements of my sound, but like my all-inclusive sound, will I ever know the answer to that like fully? I don't know. But for me, I resonate with minor chord progressions like heavily. So I feel like for me, impact, the feeling of audible impact, like before lyrics, often comes from chords that create dissonance or tension. So I feel like the chords that do that for me, chord progressions, are generally like minor chord progressions, dominant sevens. Like I grew up also surrounded by sisters who played the piano. So I feel like I don't know if I had a choice. My early exposures, like I grew up listening to people playing Mozart and Beethoven and then also like Disney, which is theatrical. So a lot of these styles of music, my origin, like, 3-4 years old listening to this stuff, these things are very tension based. They're generally like accompanying a visual. It's like sync, right? So they're like creating an expression like before the lyrics. So when it comes to production, like I want a song that like already feels like an experience before I come on it. Like, you know what I mean? And minor chord progressions does that for me. Sometimes I tell myself, choose that happy beat. It is good. Like, but I just love like sometimes like sadder sounding music because I feel like it drives me to write a little bit more from a deeper place. But I also think that, beats that aren't like that are absolutely wonderful. It's just my personal taste. I try to put a minor chord progression everywhere I can.
Yeah. You've got like this mini I don't want to say mini because you've been doing it for like over a year now, but you've got a series on YouTube, which is like the making of, which if y'all haven't headed over to Haviah's YouTube channel, I suggest you do. But within these videos, you're basically, you know, chronicling the process of your creation of a lot of your songs. And in those videos, amongst many of your talents, you're often getting your hands dirty as far as adding to the production you select. So, and I think in another interview, you mentioned wanting to beautify your production. How important is that ability for you as far as creation goes, especially, and collaboration, I should say, especially because sometimes people don't even want you to edit their work.
Yeah, honestly, it's tough. I try to work with so yeah, I co-produce a lot of my own stuff because I feel like that's the best way to retain like my sound. I don't know that like, especially because I produce as well. I don't think that I'm like the best producer, but I definitely know how to like implement into a song what makes the song me, if that makes sense. So I'll try to work with a producer that, you know, this is what you do, you're the expert, and I will follow your lead. But like I try to work with people that are willing to be collaborative. And then I kind of give them, you know, 75% freedom of expression, do your thing. And then it's like, yo, that's lit. Would you mind sending me the stems? And I just want to try something. Like, I don't really want to work with someone who is going to be offended by that, because I'm actually trusting you to like build my song production. And the fact that it would offend you to like want to have a little piece of that would be weird to me. And I'm paying, like I have no problem paying for production. Like, this is a business transaction. You'll get the splits based on the amount of work that you did, but we're supposed to be trying to make the best song possible. So like, I'm not saying that whatever I do is going to land, but I do try to work with people who are not like, no, like this beat needs to be exactly how I did it, because like I feel like, well, then just be a beat maker and like just put out beat tapes like without lyrics. Like, if you're working with an artist, it is a collaborative experience at that point. So I also have to let go. I can't try to tell you, oh, could you make the hi-hat pattern exactly this? And like, no, I'm not going to work with a producer that I have to tell them how to produce. But I also don't want to work with someone who like doesn't want me to have any say. I want someone that's like, yo, bro, yeah, of course. Like, they feel confident that it, like from my catalog, that if I touch it, I'm not gonna fuck it up. And I feel confident by their catalog that if I tell them what I want, they're gonna get pretty close to what I want. And like, that balance has worked really well for me. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone in the chat is going up. They're calling you professional and saying you know what you're talking about, which is true. When you say you want to beautify a track, what does that entail for you?
So this is actually a problem I have. I do this too much. One thing that I'm learning, and this is probably why I'm an artist and not a producer first, is I do too much a lot of the time. Even as a vocalist, like I used to do 12-part harmonies because of the singing lessons, right? And I
Mhm.
had to learn that just because you can do something, it doesn't mean you should. So
Mm.
like, I'm learning that like, because of my early exposure, like I could make an indie song, I could make a rock song, I could make a trap song, and like they'll all be pretty good. Like, but it's confusing for the listener, and I've really tried to work on refining what I do the absolute best, you know,
Mm.
not showcasing my mediocrity, if that makes sense. And because of that, it allows me to not try to like beautify everything. Sometimes beautifying is like layering, and it's like, wow, this horn, I found the perfect sample and I modulated it so it's the perfect pitch. Now let's do it with a guitar. It's like, no, like just like, why don't you just find one really impactful sound and let that breathe? Like, the best production sometimes is the simplest production. Same
Like
with songwriting. So I probably said that at a time in my career where I was a little bit further away from this lesson I'm learning, which is some songs need beautifying, some songs don't. But when I am doing it, I like to make something unique. So I'm like a big fan of switch ups. So like, yo, the beat is playing, but then at 3 minutes, right at the end, you know, it turns into a new beat, but it's still the same beat. Maybe the tempo is different, but the melody is the same, or maybe the melody is the same, but the tempo is different. Like, I really like to create a journey or experience with the songs, and like I just think songs could be manipulated. I'm a big fan of taking my own songs and putting them in my DJ controller, pitching it down, like slowing it down and bringing the pitch down, and then chopping it up and resampling my own things. And it allows me to reimagine the same song in a completely different way. And if I already liked it the way it was before, I'm probably gonna like the reimagination. So I like to imagine the song in many ways different than what it is, and find ways to create that experience for the listener, because I feel like that's what creates a unique listening experience, is like really challenging the layers you have, like pushing the envelope on the piano, pushing the envelope on the different sounds that you have. So before I used to just use too many sounds and feel impressed with that I could do that. Now I think beautifying a song is actually refining it in a way where the experience is not just, yo, this cold beat from three to like this 30 minute 3 minute 30-second beat and it's cold. That's fire. But like every rapper has cold beats now. Like every rapper has fire beats. Like sometimes the beat's good, the song ain't even well written, but the beat's cold. So you'll save it.
Right. And that's why you're there.
Exactly. But I feel like beautifying a song is making it something that is like more of an experience. It's not just, yo, this is a cold beat, you know?
I definitely agree. And I guess just in the vein of that, or the essence of that, you know, on Stock Exchange, you've got, which is Haviah's mixtape. Again, if y'all haven't listened, please go listen to that. Please run the streams, the views on the videos, get it together, y'all. You've got collaborations with Toby, Dayburger, Yizzy, and then production from like Denise Dion, Devontae, Young Dreads, Mighty Prince. I know that you've kind of spoken to like the collaborative effort and what you like to hear out of a session, but how do you choose your collaborators, whether it be on production or features, and what are key characteristics in the people that you let touch your music?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question. You really do your research. That's
Hey.
dope. you know your stuff. I choose, it's really based on their catalog. So like, for example, even Young Dreads, that story's so interesting because Young Dreads is a part of, I would say, my journey to actually being a recognized artist. When I've done a few things that have gotten me like recognized, but not where I am now. I would say the thing that really opened the door for me to be recognized as a true professional musician was when I did this Team Backpack Cypher in 2016. And there was just me and 3 other women. We were invited to rap on this fire beat. And I did my thing, and it came out on Team Backpack, which was a really big platform at the time. And it came out for International Women's Day. So it was just the right time, the right platform, and the right bars. And I went like viral around that time, and we became a rap group called the Sorority. But even before we came that rap group, I was like, ooh, like the comment section on the video where people were like, that's the girl that works at Long and McQuaid Brampton. That's like, because I work in retail, people were recognizing me on the street. So I was like, this is my in. Like if I don't recognize this as my in and convert these people into fans, just work at Rogers. Keep working at Rogers, work in telecommunication, like change, because it was just so obviously the biggest thing that had ever happened. I had 2 million views in 3 days or 1 million views in 3 days on this Cypher verse. And people were like, this girl is nuts. So it changed my life because at the time I got a lot of emails, a lot of unsolicited, like, can I work with you? Let's work together. And at the time I was able to go through these messages because I wasn't well known yet. So it was a lot of messages, but I went through every message, and Young Dreads was one of the producers, and he was like, yo, you're dope. I heard your cypher. Here's a beat pack. And I only really liked one beat in that beat pack, but it's crazy because a year later, I ended up putting out a project that was only produced by Young Dreads. It was just me and him. And we worked together because he understood my love for minor chord progressions. Like I love piano, and he implemented that into a lot of his beats. And the one beat in the beat pack that I liked, it had that. And I could hear that even though I didn't love the other ones, I was like, I could hear that he gets that. So when I told him I like this one, then he made another one, which was even better, and another one, which was even better. And then we're like, let's do an EP. We did that EP. I put that out a year after the Cypher, and then that EP was the one that got me my booking agent. My booking agent got me my management. My management got me my first grant. My first grant got me the funding to pay for my album. That was then nominated for the Polaris Prize. That got me $50K. And like from there, it literally, so it's actually like really wild because the producer is, can be a big part of that process. I think networking is probably the answer to that question, is actually networking. That's how I find the people that I actually fuck with, is just not having a closed door. Like even now, like it's very difficult to get to all of the messages I get, but I will still try. If I happen to open a message and someone's like, yo, check out this beat pack, and I'm in the message and I will, because you never know like what gems that you'll find in your Instagram DMs or Facebook DMs. Like there's just so many talented people everywhere. So I feel like that's like the biggest thing is like that when you hear someone and you hear their art that they made without your input and you're already like, ooh, imagine if you came together and like sat down and talked about what you wanted to do. Like it's
Mhm.
gonna be monumental. So that's kind of like my process is just keep an open ear and be willing to work with new people.
Yeah, I think a lot of the viewers in the chat will probably pick up on that one little nugget, and your DMs may be flooded later on today because a lot of these
Yeah.
guys just love collaborating, and I know everyone's in love with you right now, so keep an eye out. Um,
Yeah.
so, for those who don't know, Stock Exchange, you briefly touched on it as far as Polaris goes, but Stock Exchange followed a very big project and pivotal moment in Haviah's career after winning the Polaris Prize for her album 13th Floor, correct? Um, so, for those who are new to that concept, Polaris is an awards ceremony that essentially scoops all the Canadian releases for the year and awards one project as the best Canadian release. And Haviah was not only the first hip hop album to win within Polaris's now 16-year run, which is crazy to me, but you were also the first Black woman. What was that moment like for you, and how have you utilized that momentum to continue building? And did that put any pressure on you when you were creating Stock Exchange?
Yeah, I'd say it was life changing in the sense that it solidified the fact that I quitted my job. Like I knew after Polaris, I wouldn't have to go back to full time retail. I
Yes.
just knew, and it wasn't because like the Polaris gives you 50K, but it wasn't because of the money because 50K is actually nothing for a music.
Yeah.
That's 2 music videos. It's
Yeah.
gone. It was. I mean, it's not nothing. Let me not say it's nothing. I reinvested it. It was very beneficial. However, it was the opportunities that an accolade like that awarded me that actually changed my life.
Absolutely.
I quit my job 3 months, 4 months before the Polaris. When I put out my project, I quit my job. So even before that, I felt pretty strongly about this project, but I did not think against people like Jesse Reyes and Shad and just amazing artists that were also nominated that year. I just
Your
did.
time.
Sorry.
It was your time.
And I just couldn't fathom that until it happened. So like I literally could not allow myself to believe I could win. I was like, a nomination is a win. Performing on a stage like that, that's the win. Being in that room with all these like kind of like tastemakers in the city, they're gonna know who I am. They're gonna hear my name. Boom, that's the win. And so when I actually won the award, it actually took me by surprise. I didn't even take the time to think about a speech. That's how much I just did not think about that part. I was like, nobody knows who I am. I just didn't think it could happen. And but I knew that I felt based on the music it could happen, but based on just like the politics and not knowing what the Polaris was even 2 years prior, like I just could not envision winning. And so winning was life-changing mentally because I wrote a project called The 13th Floor. It was about, talking about the Black experience. And I called it 13th Floor because, I feel in Canada, especially like the Black experience is very dismissed. If I talk about my experiences, some people are like, Canada's not racist. Like, it's not the US, right? So it's very diminished what you live through and these experiences. And it's kind of like the 13th floor in a building where we know it's there, but we're just kind of like, it's actually the 14th floor. And like, we don't know why we do this, but everyone just understands that the 13th floor is not in elevators. It's this weird concept. And that's kind of like our narrative that's often dismissed, even though we know it's there. People that know that these experiences happen just dismiss it. And it was interesting because that was the least dismissed project that I had done at the time. It was the most recognized. It got the most eyes on it, which was obviously the opposite of what I was expecting for it to do. So it was life-changing in that way. It also made me feel somebody who was worried about talking about politics and music. I was like, can those things go together and work? I learned, oh, well, it works. Like people are
Girl, it worked. Did it?
yeah, like people are rocking with it. And you had a third part of the question. I can't
The
recall.
second part was, did it put any pressure on you creating Stock Exchange? Because I know like you didn't necessarily want to go with a conventional release, and you wound up presenting it as a mixtape, but it started as singles. So I'm just like, were you feeling pressure after that? And going that route, did it afford you any kind of creative freedom in the process?
I would say it did create a lot of pressure. I'd say what created pressure was Polaris and then COVID. That's what really applied the pressure because what the Polaris did for me as an artist who I think I get a lot of fans through my live performance. Some artists are like streaming more. Like my live performance definitely grabs people. So my guarantees went up after the Polaris. I used to play shows, and if I got a rack, if I got $1,000, I was like lit. Like now it's like $7,000-8,000 offers to play one show. So it's, and it probably started like, you know, around 4K 5K after the Polaris, and it keeps going up. And I knew through my management team, they're like, this is what happens, and your value goes up the more accolades you get, the more, you know, like
yesterday's price is not today's price.
it's literally that. And I literally saw it happen. It wasn't even a thing we had to communicate. My booking agent was like, I'm telling you, the offers are just going to change. You don't have to actually communicate the change. You're going to get better offers because of the fact that you're the winner of this thing. And that's what happened. I started getting festival offers I'd never seen. And that was amazing because it was like, great, I'm going to perform and get more fans. But the problem with that was I planned for 2020 to be my performance year. I was like, I'm going to break into the States. You know, I started playing some shows in New York and LA, and I wasn't thinking about releasing new music. I was thinking about riding the wave of that project, 13th Floor. And when I was actually in LA, played my second show in LA when COVID happened. And like, it just changed the entire year. And I was like, wow, this whole year was structured around touring and like educating people on the Polaris Prize winner. That was the whole year. So, and like I had shows, like I was going to open for Nelly, all these like cool, like American side opportunities that I thought would be life-changing for me. So my pivot was the only thing that I can actually wrap my head around is making music. I can't even wrap my head around releasing it because I remember at the time Jessie Reyez had just put out her project and she was supposed to tour with Billie Eilish, and then that didn't happen. I was like, if that was me, I'd lose my mind. Like what if that doesn't come back, right? So that's kind of where I was at. So I was like, I could just wrap my head around making music. I had just invested in a U87, which is like industry standard microphone. So it was like, I was like, I have the facility in my house. So I just would like record songs in my house. And the idea about putting singles out was because I could not fathom marketing a project without being able to tour, do interviews in person. I just could not wrap my head around that. So I was like, I'm just going to do singles and put them out. And that will be like what I do for 2020. And then the idea turned into singles every month, back to back. And I started putting them out November 2020, December, January 2021. And by like February, March, the way that people were receiving the singles, I recognized a theme. And it was the way that I was actually responding to how my music was doing. It was like, what have you done for me lately type vibe. I put out a song, and if it did really well, I felt awesome that month. I felt strong. I'd make breakfast every morning. I'd go to the gym. Then the next month I put out that next song. And if I didn't get the same amount of streams or comments, it would affect my mental state. I wouldn't take care of myself the same way. It would have like, because I was also writing the songs month to month. So it would affect how I wrote, what I wrote about. And that actually became the theme. And and there was a lot of pressure, of course, because on 13th Floor, I had an executive producer. I worked with Toolman from A Tribe Called Red. Well, they're the Hallucination now. But I worked with him to help executively produce the album. So I had someone to help guide the direction. And basically, if I had an opinion and someone said yes, I'd feel validated. But with the stock exchange, I had no executive producer. I was my own executive producer. I was recording all my own vocals in my own house. And I was approving everything. I wasn't working with producers in real time. Like, it just was so different. And I really had to trust myself. And that was the pressure for sure, because I didn't have like the same support system, I guess you could say. But that project is now Juno nominated. So it's like, it really goes to show that you never know, you know?
Listen, it worked out. It worked out for you. Honestly, that process worked out because, first of all, congratulations on your Juno nomination. For y'all who don't know what the Junos are, it's the Canadian Grammys, okay? This is Haviah's first ever Juno nom, correct? And not only are you so she's nominated in the best rap album category, and not only is she the only woman in the category, but you're nominated alongside Belly, Nav, Pressa, and Northside Benji. So the accolades are piling. Where were you when you found out about that, and how did you feel?
It's actually funny. So like, maybe only Canadians will know this, but we have a radio station out here, Flow, and they just did like a rebrand thingy. And with that whole rebrand thing, they were like, oh, like, would you want to come to the station for a week? And I was like, well, let's see. Like, I mean, it's still fundamental to artists to be played on these stations. So I was like, let's see what it's about. And it was also a partnership with G, and I have a relationship with G. So I was like, okay. I went to the radio station. It was interesting because that week I was gonna be there like it was like a job. I went there from 7 to 10 every morning. It was like a really weird experience because my life is so unstructured. But for that week, I had to structure it. So I
Yeah.
actually I rented an Airbnb out in that area. So I was there. I wasn't even at home. And on that day, Kirk Diamond, who's also a Juno nominee, like he's won several times, but he's also nominated this year in the reggae category. He came to the station that day, and then we were talking about it, and like it was just so weird because I'm talking to a previously Juno winner, probably will be nominated this time, like really talented artist from Brampton, like where I live. And then I'm talking to like these people that are on the radio talking to all of Toronto, and they're all like, good luck, if like let's see if you get nominated. And I like just did not think that I would. Again, like I thought 13th Floor was like my biggest album, and I was scared I would never be able to top it because the Polaris is just a really big thing. And I just didn't like, I feel like the music is better, but I just was like, I don't know what the public perception will be.
Yeah.
But I just remember like talking about it and then like driving back to my Airbnb and sitting down and feeling this sense of anxiety because we just talked about it. And I'm talking with an artist who's gone through this. And like when I was nominated, I don't know. I remember sitting in the Airbnb all by myself, and I was filming myself because I was just by myself, and I was like, I want to see my real-time reaction to this. Like,
Yeah.
and I was like, can I control my disappointment if that happens kind of thing? But it was the opposite. And like, it was really shocking. And I not only was it shocking, like that I was nominated, it's the category I was nominated in,
Yeah.
best rap album. That's like amazing because it's like this one of the only things that can like almost top the Polaris, right? Or be on par with the Polaris is to be recognized for your body of work, which has always been my goal. And then to be acknowledged amongst artists that you just named. Like these are people who are recognized like even outside of the scope of Canada now. They've already kind of passed that threshold. And like I'm not even gonna hold you, they're all men. So
Yeah.
like to be in a category like nominated against a bunch of like heavy hitter dudes in the country, and I'm acknowledged in that, for me it was like this is crazy. Like crazy in the best way, and like just validating to me, like to keep going. And yeah, it just, yeah, I haven't fathomed it yet. I haven't, but
I
those,
bet it's hard for like moments like that to truly sink in because it's just like you're living the moment to moment, um, and like you're a human being. So it's just like when you see the fruits of your labor, it's a takes you into a different processing
complete,
place for real.
completely. The
Uh,
only thing that would be better than that is if I actually won, But I, again, like how I was looking at the Polaris, I'm like, yo, I think the music is, I stand behind my music, but there are 4 incredible artists you just named that are in that category. So for me to be in the category again, that is the win. But I'm gonna talk my Kanye shit, and like,
hey,
I'm really still
never
holding
know.
off with that. No, I watched that documentary and I was like, I'm not cocky enough. I'm not cocky enough. This guy speaks things, he wills it into existence. So I need
Yeah.
to start doing that a little more.
We're only a few more sleeps away from finding out. So I'm really looking forward to the awards and seeing you perform because you are going to be performing, right? So
Which is another win. Like what?
like when I started this and I was like, you're having a hell of a year, this is what I meant. Like you're just accolade, opportunity. And I think that this is something that's supposed to happen for somebody who's been at it since what, like 2009. Like you've been in the game for a hot little minute, and this is the product of hard work, and you're very deserving of it. So
Thank you
I'm just
so
excited to see what else happens. Speaking of what else happens, girl, you were just on Colors, for God's sake. Like,
shit, yeah.
oh shit, I forgot about that. This girl just performed on Colors, y'all. What the
Jeez.
hell?
Yeah.
How are you feeling after that? Because
I actually, it's crazy. I forgot that for a moment because there's actually so much happening right now that I can't even keep up. But yeah, it was amazing. It's amazing. It's back at the end of last year. I actually got really sick in October. I had to, like, for Stock Exchange, I had to cancel the release party, and I wasn't able to market it the way I wanted because I ended up getting a blood infection, which turned into, And I was on the road. I was like, I performed at Oshiega, and then I was in the UK and Wales
I remember seeing
when,
stories.
yeah,
Yeah.
when this happened, and I didn't know what was going on. I just had symptoms that were like just increasingly bad. And I just kept telling myself, maybe this is diabetes, or maybe this is something regular. But
Yeah.
it got to the point where I couldn't do work anymore. I came back to Canada and I went to the hospital, and they found like this bacteria that they don't know that got in my blood, which got to my heart, which went to my brain. Then I had strokes. It was like actually pretty fucked up. And if I didn't get back to like the hospital when I did, like, the next step is open heart surgery. And then if the bacteria can't be removed, you die, right? So it was like timing. Like I felt like everything was falling apart. That's why I was shocked about the Juno nom, right? Because there were things to recognize this project I didn't even get to do. I didn't get to have my release party. I didn't get to like perform in the city and show people what it's all about. So that was a really weird time. Colors was the first performance I did after being ill. And it's interesting, when I watch Colors, I can see my weakness. But other people might know, because I was on antibiotics until November 29th. I did that performance on December 4th. Right. So it was like, to be able to like breathe and take a breath. It was so, and it's what's crazy about that is I had to go through a long process to find the song with Colors too. So it was actually the first thing that I did to get back into the groove. And I was going to do it. It's Colors. I don't care. Like that platform I've always wanted to perform on.
Absolutely.
And unless I actually passed, we're doing it. So it represents a lot for me on the back end, because it looks like, wow, in May she did Colors, but I'm thinking back to December. These seeds were planted at the end of last year, and I'm seeing them kind of like evolve now. And it means so much as well, because like, it's like they're talking to me like, oh, D Smoke is the week before you, and we think you'd be a good follow-up. And it's like, this guy, like, what? Oh, and so it's crazy. It's like, it's even like weird. Like, you're at home, like, I wonder if D Smoke happened to scroll on the page and see me. Like, those weird things happen in my mind, because to me, I'm still regular schmegular. I don't need security. Well, there have been some weird instances where maybe I did need security, but for the most part, I could just go out and shop, and I'm not gonna get ambushed or anything, So it's like
Not
weird
yet.
to be. Not yet, exactly.
I feel like we got about 6 months before we need
honestly, that. Like, it's like hard to fathom, but like also it's, I guess, in a way what I want, because I do want my music to be enjoyed by the most amount of people as possible. Like, that's the goal. It's not really about being famous. It's about the music being received and being impactful to the most amount of people. So, and I think fame kind of comes with that. And it's just like the sacrifice, whatever, right?
Yeah, and I promise you, nobody's checking for your weakness, because everyone is just so excited to see you on Colors. Like, that is a worldwide stage, and
yeah,
it's such a blessing that you got to do it. And I think, timing may not have necessarily felt all the best during that period, but it was supposed to happen when it was, So
I agree.
And then I guess just to that point, like, one thing that everyone should know about you is that your power doesn't just get left on a record. You're an absolute beast. You're a monster when you perform. And, I've seen you in a few settings now. You just like, and between festivals and award ceremonies, you just got off tour with the Arkells, which, for those who don't know, is like a legendary Canadian rock band. And you're also taking over Rolling Loud's first ever Toronto stop. You're on that bill. So in your opinion, what is it about your music that affords you the opportunity to flow between so many spaces? Because I've seen you enough times to be around other people who've never seen you before, and they're in awe of you every single time. I've seen you perform for like crowds of like older people and like younger people. Again, you got off tour with a freaking rock band. Now you're playing a giant rap festival. Like, how are you able to flow between these spaces?
These are amazing questions. I just want to say, like, they're making me think about things I haven't thought of. So thank you for that.
Of course.
But I honestly think I've just had more practice than the average person. Like, I took singing lessons from the age of 4 to 11, so 7 years. And when doing that, my sisters were playing classical piano also, like, in lessons. So I had like concertos in the house. My older sister had like perfect pitch. And then like, my other sisters, like, I would be listening to like Cisco. Well, not at 4, but between 4 and 11, I was listening to like Cisco, Drew Hill, Celine Dion. Like, my dad's listening to like, Bob Marley. Capleton. You like the level of exposure was vast. And then I was also in lessons very young. And then I had three examples, three older sisters, three examples of other very musical people who look like me. So representation that other people may not have, I had in the home. And then, like my parents also just like, they were a bit they were regimented, so like I had to rehearse and like we had to do our choreo and like, they just weren't, they're like, we actually paid for music lessons through scholarships. We didn't really have a lot of money back then. And we got a lot of our lesson payment through actually winning winning the money through our performances, and it would fund the next year and fund the next year. So it was really adamant. I actually didn't know that until I became an adult, but I talked to my mom and she's like, oh yeah, like you guys needed to be good because we couldn't afford these lessons for you. So, that was like 7 years in Scarborough doing that. As soon as we moved to Brampton from Toronto, we could no longer afford the lessons and they capped our scholarships. So I started rapping. I was like, all right, cool. I found this website called letsbeef.com and I pivoted that way. And so again, I started rapping like later, but like I already knew how to use my diaphragm. I knew like how to use pitch. I knew all these things. So like when I started rapping, I feel like I was easily able to kind of like do the style that I resonated with. I didn't really have a restriction because I knew how to breathe. I knew how to like get a lot of words. Sorry?
You had all the tools.
I feel like I was given the tools, and then I was in choir, and then after high school, like I was doing all this stuff. Then I went to college for music, and then that's where I learned how to record myself and contracts and stuff, and a little bit of music theory. I'm definitely a by ear person, but a little bit of everything. And then I graduated, got my diploma in that, came back, and then worked in music retail. So now I'm renting the speakers for this person's wedding, and I'm setting up the in-ears for this person's show. So then I just feel like I actually got a lot of exposure in every facet. So it doesn't matter if it's in the studio making the beat or the song or on stage rigging up the actual equipment together or arranging the live performance. Right now I'm like working on like arranging my Juno performance. It's like I'm tapping into being an MD. I'm doing my little musical director thing because it's like, no, I want the keys to do this at 152. Could we do that? Like it's being involved in every part of the process that actually allows me to like do what I want. And I feel like that is what sets me apart. But I also am lucky. Like I was given this. I was given these early resources. And so now I'm just adding to them. But like not everybody's exposure is going to be like that. And like that's why so many artists are different. Some artists, like their vibe is actually that they started making music 3 years ago and they just have this crazy talent. And it doesn't really make any sense why they're so charismatic. Like rest in peace, Pop Smoke. Pop Smoke wasn't rapping all his life, but when he decided, it popped and the whole world said, yep, I like this guy. His story is very different than mine, and they're all valid. But I think what makes me particularly unique artist is I am that grind artist who can tell you every step of my, career. I can tell you like the first grants I applied for that I didn't get to the first grant that I did get. I could tell you the seeds I planted to get a booking agent because I knew that shows was going to be my bread and butter. Like and it's just a different type of artist than somebody else. And I think, some people are really interested to hear that come up story. It's like the Big Sean or the Russ, that come up or Doja Cat. A lot of people don't know Doja Cat was working really hard for many years before she became Doja Cat, and
SoundCloud days.
She does a little production herself. Like the reason that she actually has that star power is because she's not just the artist going into the studio, like, getting a song written for her. Like she does write her own stuff. She does make her own beats. And then when she gets help, it's like, that's the expert. And then this expert and this expert, and they make a hit, but
the quick math.
Yeah.
I think that's like a super valid like response to the question. And I'm just glad like the more you break out your process and your journey and your story, it's like I hope that when you log off of this today, you can really look at how everything was just a time and place situation for you and how it's essentially just like seeded everything else that's to come. I think like you're just on a ladder and
thank you.
Everything that we're talking about is just the result of that. I have like, I don't want to run too much over time. Do you have to like jump right at 4? I don't want to hold you back because I have one more
No,
question.
no.
Okay.
Jump right in.
Watching some of your interviews, the making of on your YouTube channel, when you talk about your lyrics, your lifestyle, even just now, you're talking a lot about leveling up, making it to the next point, affording nicer things, strengthening your work. And I think that planning and manifesting and practice is a big component of being able to do things like that. And like I said earlier, you've been at this for like a decade and change now. So what are some processes, or maybe just one process that's been valuable to you that you think is a catalyst for helping you achieve these new goals and reaching these new heights?
Amazing question once again. I would
Sure.
say, yeah, I would say money management. I would say money management for sure. And I would owe that to my manager Christina because she's just frugal in nature,
Shout
and
out
she,
to
yeah, at the
you.
very beginning of my career, she's like, you gotta. I'm not like I'm not one to stunt, but if I have it, I'm gonna want to stunt. And before I ever had it, that's all of us a little bit, right? Well, not my manager, but what I learned really early on, I remember when I first applied for a credit card, a business credit card for like, because I have my personal credit and it was not popping. Like I was in an overdraft every month. I was living paycheck to paycheck.
Mhm.
And I was buying my music gear. It's just like everybody else. But when I started working with my management team, we got a grant. That grant goes into a business account, not my personal account. And so once that happened, we were like, oh, we need a credit card. And I applied. And because of my personal credit, they were like, oh, absolutely not. Why would you owe $5,000 on why would I ever? And I was like, oh, and I remember I cried, like, because I was like, oh, like my personal decisions are going to affect my business.
Yeah.
And that was probably the pinnacle of realizing, oh, like I got to be very strategic about like how I spend my money. And like, it's going to be a long time before I live the lifestyle that I want.
Mhm.
And I've always kind of been like, I grew up not having everything I want. So it's not that hard to not have everything I want, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I definitely, I learned like, it's like critical, like in order to make it, like I need a credit card to be able to book flights and stuff. You know what I mean? So I just saw how big of a setback that was. And I remember I set a goal. I started budgeting better. I'm still terrible, but I started budgeting better. And we set a plan. So the thing was pay off my credit card and then basically create a salary for myself. So it doesn't even matter how much I make a month. I could make 20K, I can make 60K. I'm still paying myself that same flat rate, just like I'm working for somebody else.
Mhm.
And what that trained me, because I didn't think that's how it worked. I remember when I was in the sorority, if I got extra money from a show, I was buying those shoes, or I was getting something for my car, or I was gonna do something with it. I was not gonna pocket it.
It's that rapper money.
Rapper money. And it's like it wasn't even rapper money, but I was spending it like just like, even if it was on food, like it was just not thinking long term, not thinking how you're gonna actually be able to afford a house.
Yeah.
And I think what really allowed me to like I feel like I actually like, I make decent money. I'm not rich or anything, nowhere near. But I'm very comfortable compared to like the person who is in overdraft every month.
Mhm.
And I think how we did that is not just because I'm making money, it's because the money is actually like it's meant to reinvest into Haviah Mighty, the artist, every time. And the only thing I get is my monthly salary. Like I am my own boss and I pay myself a fee that the account can handle. And that's it. I don't, because we did this show and it paid 10K, I'm getting this chain. I'm not there yet. Like if I start spending like that now, I'm actually never going to get to, like, that's going to be a cubic zirconia chain. I'm never going to get the diamonds. And it's like, yo, be patient, because eventually there are artists, I'm talking 10K, like that's big money. There are people who get paid 500K for one show,
Yeah.
750K for one show. It's like, be patient. When you get there, maybe then you can justify a chain out of that, right? I'm not there. And I think knowing my place is really beneficial. Like I can get nicer things now than I did 2 years ago,
Mhm.
So I got myself, when my Honda started breaking down, I bought myself a nice little Jeep, I was like, okay, like, but I didn't get a Lambo. I didn't get a Tesla. I didn't get a Range Rover. You know what I mean? I'm not there. So I would say that's probably like one of the most sustainable things is money. Like if your money's going out too fast and it's not replenishing, it's not sustainable. I've
Yeah.
been able to profit every year on my business, and make more from a profit margin, than every other year, even through the pandemic, which is like, I was definitely worried about that. I thought I would have to go back to work at Lana McQuaid. The fact that I'm seeing how that works, it's just like, yo, patience is a virtue. Just like chill. Now I could do things like I can get outfits for like the Junos or something and
Yeah.
expense it to my business. I'm not going to buy it on my personal. I'll wait for an opportunity where I can get that Louis V belt, and
Girl,
then
you
it's
can still expense it to your personal. It's called a sole proprietorship, okay? Know
yeah,
that.
but with the what I'm learning is with the first of all, I have to pay for my personal though, right? If I pay off the business and expense it to the business, I don't really gotta, and then it feels like a treat, but it's really actually a business decision at the same time. So it's kind of like looking at everything as a business decision. And there's some complications as well with what you can expense when you have a HST corporation. I'm still learning. But I have business managers to help keep, and that's another thing. I have business managers to help manage the money because I'm not a money expert. And like, there's so much money that I would not be getting or not be saving, or like taxes I might not be filing, and they're gonna come for me 7 years later on some Wesley Snipes. I ain't got the time. So yeah, so I feel like that is really important. Like paying attention to your money flow and not trying to live beyond your means too fast. Like it's okay to want everything. I want everything, but I can't afford a pool yet. Maybe I'll learn to swim first. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel you. Live within your means. That's really that's the key. Thank you for saying that. I think that was such a detailed um and specific answer, because sometimes people will just be like, just be consistent and just work hard every day. And I think those are very valid things. But when you think about this existing within this space as a business, which a lot of people just want to do things for fun and they don't see how they can grow. I think everything you just said really just I hope y'all are listening and writing notes, because
Seeing some dope comments.
Sorry?
I'm seeing some dope comments. People saying gems on gems. Looking
Someone
forward
said
to
they work
seeing
in
you in that
business.
Tesla. No, see, what's funny? Someone said looking forward to seeing you in that Tesla, though. Me too. But you
Hey,
see how I got around that? I just made a music video
yep.
called Tesla, and I rented 3, and I drove them all, and I was like, okay.
Go watch that video, by the way.
Well, check out the video. Actually,
It's a sick
that's a
video.
very thank you.
Perfect segue.
Yeah.
I think the last thing, I really want to get into these beats. I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but I do know, we have things to expect from you. The Rolling Loud performance, which is going to be freaking crazy. The Junos, going to be mad, but you're also dropping a music video. If you want to plug that, give us a little idea of what we're going to get to see.
Yeah, actually, I haven't announced this, so this is actually like somewhat exclusive information.
Hey, I love an exclusive.
Yeah, we love an exclusive. But I will be dropping. Let me look at my calendar to make sure I'm not saying the wrong date. But I will be dropping a music video for a song that I put out called "So So." Y'all should check that out, featuring Dayburger from New York. And I'm putting run up the streams. I'm putting out that music video on the 11th of May, which is amazing because 4 days later, I will also be performing that song on the Junos. So you guys are going to see that song in a whole different facet. You're going to see it on a big stage. It's going to be the Junos, but it's going to feel like the Grammys. And the music video is same team as Tesla as well. So we go hard every time. I love working with Jesse and Sean. They're absolutely incredible videographers. Yeah, super dope.
Amazing. Well, we're looking forward to seeing that. Thank you for all your gems. Want to take a little bit of time. We got like a couple thousand submissions and we had to really narrow it down for you. So I know you've picked 6 here. I would love to run about a minute of each. And if you could just briefly share what you liked about the beats. I think one of the producers is actually in here. You probably got a notification if I added you to the playlist. So I assume that's why you're here. Is there any particular order you want to start with?
No, you could just play any, but like, yeah, if you're in the chat and you hear your beat, just say, yo, that's me. We can shout you out.
All right, so let's start with Open by Strazdine. I hope I said your name right. Let's go.
Strazdine, what up? Producerfix.com.
Okay.
Damn.
All day if we run that whole beat. Let's go. Strasdeen is from Vancouver.
Yeah, Vancouver.
Let's go. Oh, you're here. Hello.
Hey, Strasdeen, that was dope.
What did you like about that beat, Haviah?
What did I like about that beat? There's a little bit of an echo here. You can hear me, right? Perfect. I think what I like about that beat is the use of the unique elements. So it's like it's driven by like percussive elements that almost sound like they could be like sampled from real life, like just like hitting a table or whatever. It's not super melodic, and I love the simplicity of it because a lyricist could really go anywhere on a beat like that. It makes me think of like I feel like that's also a very popular style right now. So it makes me think of like, you know, I could hear Megan Thee Stallion on that, or like somebody like Doechii on that, or even like the Baby or something. I feel like that would be like it could work as a club record or in a dance record. It's a very versatile. And yeah, I feel like I remember when I listened to these beats, of all the beats, I think the elements that were used to create it were the most unique and kind of unconventional. And I always like that. So yeah, that's what stood out to me about that beat. Shout out Strasdeen, it was a dope ass beat.
Fire. Thank you so much for submitting to the beat submission when it was open. And thank you for showing up to the show. I'm glad you got to see her reaction in real time.
That was great.
All right. So next we've got Pandilla by Official Danny Boy. Let's go. Okay. Danny Boy.
Super hard. Someone said me and Jazz on this would be crazy. Yo, what? That would be fire.
Come on, Eighth Life as the A&R. I see you.
You know, seeing the vision.
What'd you like about this one?
Okay, so that beat is like, it's very textbook me, especially in the beginning of my career, because it's got the minor chord progressions, it's got the theatricalness. It's also done right. So I feel like the low end feels full and heavy when it, even like at the beginning grabs with the 808s and the syncopation, like doom, 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 doom. Like I love that stuff. So it feels like an intro. The groove is dope. The melody is dope. I love beats like this, like especially to freestyle to like melodic freestyling, like just singing hook ideas over. Like this beat immediately inspires me to think about lyrics and like what I would say on it, just because I love the chord progression. Yeah, I just think it's like it does a really good job of embodying that kind of like dark, that dark element. Just I feel like it fits that pocket very well.
Danny Boy, thank you for submitting.
Thank you, Danny Boy.
Thank you, Danny Boy. All right. Then we have Hell Part 2 by Cody Jane.
Okay.
Shredder.
Right.
That was
Feedback
fire.
time.
Feedback time. Yeah, so I feel like earlier we were talking about like sometimes simplicity is like the best way, especially in 2022. Like people really resonate with simple and good. This beat is simple and good. It's got like that minor chord progression thing that I really love, but the feel of it is like club ready. I feel like I could hear like a Jack Harlow on this. Like I feel like I could definitely hear like a new age mainstream artist on this. The tempo is right in vein with I think like movement and dance. I can see it in a strip club, or I can see it just in a club. And then I think what I really like is like this simplicity but intentional use of elements that have worked before. So for example, even with the 808, it's like dun, and it kind of drags up to that second note. Little things like that make me think of like Roddy Rich's The Box, right? And like how that song was so huge, and that was an element that like we got familiar with hearing. Not that that didn't exist before, but I like that kind of playful, intentional use of that in this time because it's almost familiar to the listener, and it's like, oh shit, like it's like just a little more sauce than just the hard 808. That little modulation helps tell a deeper story, and then on top of it, the 808s that are used give me a bit of like a drill feel, even though the drums aren't like a drill feel. The actual sound of the 808 feels like a drill feel, which is also something that's very familiar with us in the 2022 era. So I just think it's like that's like a radio hit, ready for artists to make a radio hit.
Haviah, I could literally listen to you talk about music all day because you're so passionate about it. I love it so much. It's so specific. Um, okay, so on to the fourth pick. We've got Cyclop Beats with.
Hey Kill, what's up? Hey Taboo, what's up?
Oh,
Cyclops Beats, what's up? Let's hear it.
You got friends in the chat?
Looks like I do.
Hey yo. All right, let's run this.
Cyclops. Cyclops.
That was sexy.
Very, very, very. The Taboo, you said the space is so dope, very musical too. Ooh, this one is wavy. I had every one of those thoughts. Um, and Grandtastic Beats, you said trap soul Drake type. Also, I thought that like Drake came to my mind for sure. I just yeah, that beat is just like perfect for the right person, and I also think the right person could be so many people. It could be Drake rapping, it could be SZA or Summer Walker singing, and I think the drums, the feel, and the groove, like how like it's not like it's just got a swing to it that's really really sexy, and I just feel like yeah, that beat off the charts.
I saw your friend Akil said, this entire talk and learning about beats makes me want to use BeatStars now. So happy to have converted you. Go sign up. Go get a
Jump
little
on.
page.
Jump on.
Sell your little beats. Maybe one day we'll be on here playing yours for another artist. So please jump on that.
Facts.
Okay, we've got two more left. I believe this might be okay. Astro Spasm. I thought this was somebody else, but it's not. But here's the
Okay.
SMR, make it bounce, boy. Astro.
I wanted to let that one run. This was the person I thought it was. This is Frizzy Astra, who I'm not surprised this beat was selected. They've actually won another contest that we've done in the past, and like they're just a crazy producer. So
Fire. I make sense that they won something previously. Something we talked about earlier, where you like make a hard beat, but simple, and then you have one. Remember we talked about like layering and using all these sounds that we don't need. You just need like that one sound, but like a really good unique sound. That string sample, it's so impactful that like the beat, the simplicity of the beat, it would be too much if like there was anything else. Like it's just like it's just perfect. I really love the combination of the beat and then the sample, but also how impactful that or sample that they play. I don't know how they created it, but just how impactful that lead melody was. I feel like I don't know. I just feel like I can see why they would win competitions. It's just like they just put everything in the perfect place. Fire.
shout out to you, Frizzy Astro. Thank you for submitting. All right, so we're on our last beat. I don't even know how to. Oh, you know what? I do know how to say it. Ink Boy Beats. Ooh, Energy Part 2.
All right.
Let's go.
Good damn, G. Purchase your tracks today. Good damn, G.
Fantastic. These just took me out and said, I'm an island boy.
No, like the vibes on this one, it's very much giving Olamide, Rima, like, and like ready to go though. Like they could be on it and it or Burner Boy, like ready to go. I feel like the live instrumentation, like feeling like the guitar, the drum fills, the rolls, it all feels like this is like what this producer does. Like and like that's a different world definitely than like hip hop, but I feel like it sounded really like, really authentic. The groove was right, the tempo was right, the melody was beautiful. There was like, I feel like, was it saxophone or so, like some type of brass on there too,
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken. It's just really dope, really smooth. I know why I chose all 6 of these beats listening back to them. So
that's amazing. Well, shout out to you, Inkboy Beats. Shout out to everybody who made
shout out
it.
to Ink Boy.
Shout out to everybody who even went as far as submitting. Like it takes a lot to feel confident in the work that you create and to put it in front of strangers. It takes a lot of guts. So really proud of everybody who's been submitting. Um, Haviah's beat submission is long closed, but if you're looking for more, like I said, you head over to www.beatstars.world, hover over opportunities. We do have a really crazy beat submission opportunity up with SSG Kobe right now. So go take a look at that. There will be another one next week, I believe, as well. So just just go take a peek.
Amazing.
Haviah, we're so grateful to have you here today. You said so many incredible gems. This has probably been, I've been doing this like I'm in my second year plus at BeatStars. This has probably been one of my favorite interviews of all time. Really, really grateful for your energy and your poise, and just wishing you all the best at the Junos. Fingers crossed. Like, I can't wait to see your performance. Um, all the best at Rolling Loud. Congratulations on Colors. Congratulations on your health. Um, and I don't know if there's anything else you want to say to the BeatStars community before we head out today, but now is the time.
Honestly, first of all, I would say to you, thank you for your questions and for doing, the research in a way like that. Even helped me think about things in a way I never have. I really appreciate that. Thank you to everybody who's in the chat, who's been just, vibing out and listening. Like, it's just dope. I've never been on Twitch before, so hey, I've never, been live with BeatStars, so hey, always down to connect with new producers and just people in the music game. And I'm excited to see, what networking can happen here. But also, I hope if there's anything that you are looking to learn, from the artist perspective, I hope I was able to, maybe share a little bit of light on that. And outside of that, I feel like you hit all the things, the Colors, the Juno Awards, Rolling Loud in September. If you're in Toronto, make sure you pull up day 2. I'll be touring more with the Arkells and like a lot of shows throughout the summer, even before Rolling Loud, like probably 15 plus shows before Rolling Loud. So check me out on Instagram if you want to know like when I'm playing, or check out my website. If you're in Canada, like pull up one day, gotta manifest it. One day I will be unaffordable.
Get on a flight. What are we talking about? Hop on that
Facts,
flight.
hop on the flight. But I would say like this, I'm trying to say like eventually I feel like, it might cost a little bit of money to afford a ticket to see me. So get me while I'm cheap.
Hey, I think that's a perfect note to end on. Thank you, Haviah.
Thank you.
All the best. Shout out to y'all for sitting tight through this stream today and for all your feedback and energy as well. Have a blessed weekend, guys. Wash your hands. I'm still wearing my mask and social distancing, so just take care of yourself. And we will see you guys on the next listening room with another artist who did a beat submission work that will be announced very, very soon. So stay tuned. It's going to be the exact same vibe as this. It's not going to be Haviah, but like it's going to be vibes,
Lit.
All right, y'all. Have a good one.
Thank you. Peace, everyone.
Bye.